Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm just doing this video because back in 2018, I suffered from a long stint of ALS hypochondria um, when it was actually a brachial plexus injury that I had, also referred to as Parsonage-Turner syndrome and brachial neuritis, or old school verbiage is a stinger. Um, so I just want to kind of walk people through this, and my goal is to help a few people who might be out there and digging themselves into a hole when they have an injury, or they just may have severe anxiety, to pull them up out of that. So, just to give you a little bit of background, I was in Jiu-Jitsu, and I believe that's where I got my injury. On October 10th of 2018, I was rolling with a blue belt, and it was after class. Class had already been concluded, and we were just going through some drills by ourselves. I was put into a triangle choke, which is when the legs are roughly wrapped around one arm and the other side of your head, and it comes down to chopping motion to cut off your airway and your blood flow. Um, I was put into that choke, and I it wasn't so tight at that point, but I got up to try to escape it, and it got tighter, and I fell forward onto my right shoulder in my head. Um, and I got up. I thought everything was fine, but turns out it wasn't. I didn't feel the full effects of this injury for, I'd say, right around 36 hours. So, after I was put into that choke that night, I went out for my father's birthday. We had a couple beers. My mom's a licensed massage therapist, and I let her know that I was tight, and it was on the opposite side that I had fallen. It was in my I guess this would be your trap, just right underneath the shoulder blade. She tried to work it out, and it really did nothing for me. I noticed it was getting tighter and tighter as I was going to dinner. Anytime I tried to look the opposite direction, it was painful. But these aren't uncommon things, especially when you're doing jujitsu, because it's the art of joint locks and chokes. So I really wasn't too concerned about it. So fast forward, went to bed that night, woke up the next morning, I felt fine. Um, Went out with my buddy the next night. And we had a couple beers. I came home, I ate something, I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night to what I can only describe as the worst pain that I've ever been in. It was a weird feeling. I woke up out of a dead sleep, and I had a severe stabbing pain. It felt like it was underneath my left shoulder blade or scapula. I woke my wife up. I asked her to massage it out. She said, I can't massage it out. There's a bone there. Um, so I went out to the living room, and I noticed I really couldn't move my arm. And my left pectoral muscle was twitching really bad. Like, I guess the only way I can describe it is firing, just like pow, 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 pow. So I went and I laid on the couch, and I eventually went to sleep. I woke up a few hours later, still in terrible, just inconsolable pain. So I called my mom. I went over. I tried to get her to massage my upper back, and I was getting the shooting pain anytime she touched anywhere near the pectoral, tricep, forearm, hand, um, the the left side of my back. It was just unbearable pain. And she was calling them trigger points, but I've had trigger points worked on before, and this was not trigger points. This was just pain, pain, pain. Um, so I gave it a few days. I went and I bought some KT tape, and I taped my back and my shoulder up, thinking or hoping that that would work. It didn't work. Um, so I figured I'd try to work out. My arm was super unstable. I couldn't hold myself up with my left arm. It would just give out and collapse on me. I had pain, twitching, and weakness all the way down to my hand. My grip wasn't as strong. It went through the forearms, bicep, tricep, shoulder, trapezius muscle, neck, all around this area where the shoulder blade or the scapula is, into my pec. So, I couldn't do a push-up. I couldn't do a tricep extension with 2.5 pounds. I couldn't lift 2.5 pounds up above my head. My arm would collapse and it would fall on me. So I figured, what the hell, I'll go and do Jiu-Jitsu and see if that fixes it. So went to class. We were doing our stretches. Again, my arm was shaking as I was trying to hold myself up. No control at all. And we went through the drills. And then I started rolling with a newer white belt. At that point, I could not use my left arm. It was super painful, and I knew that there was a problem. So I went home and I made an emergency appointment with my primary care. When I got there, it was a resident that I saw. She was inexperienced, and this led to more problems, I feel like. She did the neurological test, the strength test, things like that. I guess it was good practice for her. I really didn't know why she was doing that. Said everything looked good. She put me on prednisone, a steroid to help my nerves heal because she felt that it was nerve related, and sent me to a DO who specialized in chiropractic medicine. Went to the DO. Bad experience. Looking back now, he had no idea what he was doing. He was sloppy. He was in an old bank. It smelled like mold. But I digress. I went there 3 times. Every time he exited the room, he's like, "You should be good by next Thursday. If you're not, make an appointment, come back." I didn't go back after the 3rd visit. I was a bartender at the time. I noticed that my hands were clumsy, which is, a telltale sign for neurological issues. I had muscle weakness, and I had twitching. Get home from the bar that night. I believe it was right after the appointment, because I think I may have gone to work after that. And I have 2 medicine cabinets that have mirrors that look to a larger mirror behind me. So I was pulling something out of the cabinet. I opened the mirror. I noticed that my posture was terrible. I could not practice proper posture with my left side. My shoulder was rolled forward into like a defense mode, or defense posture, I guess it's called. And I had atrophy all across my back. I couldn't make a muscle. I had atrophy in my arm. This arm is tattooed, so it was very easy to see, and you can see some right here where that muscle's coming back compared to this arm. I had atrophy. Get out of the shower. I start doing research on Dr. Google. Convinced myself 100% that I had ALS because I had all these symptoms. Went on forums, things like that. It was terrible. I wasted literally months of my life, and it was the worst anxiety and depression I had ever been in because I felt like I was dying. Fast forward to the next day, I went to the emergency room. I was told that I was not having an emergency, that I needed to make an appointment with my primary care, which I did. Between that time, I was in really bad shape. I felt like I was going crazy, and I had this fear that I had this ALS ailment, because not only did I have weakness, I also had atrophy. I had twitching, which the twitching eventually went to other parts of my body. I had gone down, I think, 5 pounds. I was very active. So, I went from 235 pounds to 168 pounds or something. So my metabolism was just burning shit as quick as I could put it in. So make an appointment with primary care, continue to bartend, very anxious, very depressed. Came home again another night, tried to do a push-up, tried to do it against the wall, because I was seeing a physical therapist who told me to practice my posture. So I wanted to see what my posture looked like as I was doing the the push-ups, and my shoulder blade, or medical term scapula, went from flat to straight out. Disgusting, right? Go to the doctor. He's like, listen, what do you think you have? And I went through everything, and I said, I have this undoubtable fear that I have this. I said, and there was something that I was unaware of when the resident came in and saw me, and that was my scapula, my shoulder blade. I pushed against the wall, comes out. He was very concerned about that. He asked me what the physical therapist had said. I said he felt like this was a brachial plexus injury from Jiu-Jitsu being put in that triangle choke, because that would be the only thing that makes sense, and he agreed with that. I showed him the atrophy in my chest, and he said the brachial plexus goes all the way down the arm to the pectoral muscle, and there's even a long, thin nerve that goes behind the scapula. It's called the long thoracic nerve, which, when that is injured, it affects the serratus anterior, which my serratus anterior wasn't activating, my tricep, bicep, my pectoral muscle, and again, twitching everywhere. So I went through the motions. That was in about November-ish of 2018. This fear festered with ALS along those months, to the point where I had to go and I had to talk to a psychiatrist, because I had never experienced anything like that before. So things started getting better, right? And my patience was wearing thin, and I couldn't accept the fact that I was injured because I wasn't in control of it. I wasted months of my life. I was making my wife go crazy. But it is what it is. So getting back to the root cause of things, we're here to talk about brachial plexus and Parsonage-Turner syndrome. There was a UFC fighter by the name of Todd Duffy that had the same injury, same symptoms. The mark of a brachial plexus injury is that undeniable pain that you usually get behind your scapula. There is muscle wasting, there is twitching, and there is weakness. Like I said, the arms now look pretty decent, pretty much the same, but before I would flex, and this arm would just not flex, and the muscles got smaller. But it's come back now. Brachial plexus injuries are hard. They take anywhere from 1 to, I think, upwards of 3 years to heal, and even at that point, there's not a guarantee that your full strength will come back. My full strength is almost back, and it's taken a year and 3 months so far. Today is December 4th of 2019. The injury took place on October 10th of 2018, and the initial onset of the pain and the symptoms were on it was early morning of October 12th of 2018. So there was about a 36-hour lag. So with the brachial plexus injury, what you want to do is make sure that you're focusing on your posture. Patience is key. Stay away from Dr. Google. That's never going to end well. And listen to your doctors and your therapists. The pain is excruciating, and it's not fun, and you're going to have to cope with that. There's a couple things that could, lead to onset on this. I've heard everything from stress to, injuries like I got, or even overuse. Bodybuilders and weightlifters will get this injury because if they're constantly doing bench press or overhead press and they're overexerting the bundle of nerves that go underneath the collarbone, and it could cause issues. So that's been my experience with brachial plexus injury thus far, and my small stint with hypochondria in regard to a neurological disorder that I didn't have, that had similar symptoms, which was a complete waste of time. And my goal in just sharing this was just to, if somebody else is going through brachial plexus injury, Parsonage-Turner syndrome, or even hypochondria, just just know, don't let those things consume your life. When these things happen, like these injuries, they're good because they become a growing experience. I'll be doing another video just talking about neck injuries associated with Jiu-Jitsu, and going further in detail on the brachial plexus injury and why that happened and things like that. So if you found value in this video, share it, give it a thumbs up, or give me a follow. I intend on doing a lot more of these, and not all of them are going to pertain to something like this. So we'll see where it goes. See you.